sip and converse. Let's sip and converse.
Let's talk about it. Sip and converse.
This episode is going to be great because we got an awesome guest on. So, DJ, do you mind introducing the guest?
I have no problem doing that. Introducing our guest. Hey, we're looking forward for this episode for quite some time now. The person we have on set today is Larry and I. We've been knowing him for well over a decade together, and we've been sharing this guy in a great way. He's a personal mentor to Larry and I both. He has a background, and I'm just going to say in leadership, because I'm going to steal his thunder and let him introduce himself the best way that he know how. But our guest today is Tony Rodriguez. So people in online, take your left hand and take your right hand, and let's put them together and welcome Tony Rodriguez into setting.
Thank you, DJ, and I just for the invitations. You're welcome. And I feel welcome to be here, and it's a real privilege.
Yes.
You know, when people say yes to something, they're saying no to something else. And so if they're saying yes to watching this podcast, to listening to some of our insights, they're saying no to watching something else.
Yep.
And so I just like to let everybody know who's watching and listening. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
And thank you for the gift of your attention. Attention is valuable, and we want to make sure we add value.
Yes.
So a little bit about myself.
A little bit.
Okay. Tony Rodriguez. If you would ask me my profession is helping individuals and team leaders achieve their goals on time and on target. And I do that through a couple different methods, coaching, professional coaching, and consulting. And I've been full-time coach and a consultant now 12, 13 years.
Wow.
And over 5,000 hours of coaching. So I stopped counting after 5,000.
Well, seems like to me you really enjoy doing that if you've been doing that long.
It lines up with my core values.
Core values, yes.
But he had a career in the military, and I was an infantry officer for a long time. And when I left the Army, I had a little corporate stint, Larry, here in Atlanta for a transportation company, and I went into business for myself.
Okay.
In a marketing company, and still own that company and did that for many years. And then I went into the coaching space because I was interested in impacting people in a meaningful way. And what I was doing was narrowly focused.
Yeah.
And so this just allows me to live a life of purpose that I really enjoy. And I get to do cool stuff like this with you guys.
That's a big word right there. Purpose. I know it's simple. What was it? Compound? You know, I got kind of confused there in English when I was a kid, but purpose. A lot of times people get tripped up on that word, on how to really, truly activate that.
You know, the why of something is hugely important. Miles Monroe, rest in peace, said years ago, he goes, when purpose is not understood, dysfunction is inevitable.
Wow.
You know, there's in this beautiful podcast studio you have, there's lots of technical equipment. If I don't know the purpose for something and I start tinkering with it, I'm by definition dysfunctional. Our sound engineer who's back there is going to say, hey, get off that, you mess it up. When a man or woman doesn't know their purpose, by definition,
Yes.
there could be elements of dysfunction. And by solving that and figuring out why am I here? My job does not define my purpose. It's what I do. It's not who I am. And when some people help meander a little bit in life and get on track, off track, wrong relationships, repetitive patterns, and a lot of it has to do with rootlessness and just a little bit of a lack of clarity on purpose. So you hit on something hugely. And there's ways to figure out your purpose.
Is it okay I can refer you to as Coach Tony? Sure. Coach Tony, another big powerful word, and it's a one syllable, this word that crib and I, that's Larry. We touched on in a previous taping why. People don't really know why they're doing things, and it confuses them with their purpose. It confuses them with their goals. It just really confuses them with their day-to-day living. And I'm sure with your over 5,000 hours of coaching and over a decade of coaching, the why is really a key thing. While it throws a lot of people off track, if I may say so myself, correct?
You hit on something accurately. And why do you think that that's a problem, Steve?
Um, it's a conversation I had with my wife when we, sit down sometimes, many times, and reflect is that people, for me, as a follower of Christ, a lot of times people don't sit down and don't really communicate and listen to the Creator.
Mm.
And for me, you can miss your purpose but not listen to Him, or not better understand your why but not listening to Him, and just not just slowing down, but just stop and listen. And in my opinion, you miss out on a lot of things when you don't do those things.
100%. 100%. Like, what do you think?
I think a lot of times when, we talking about the purpose and the why, I think people miss out on their purpose and the why because it's not rooted in anything.
But
So, the title was about core values, but I think some people purpose is not tied to their core values, so they're just doing anything.
Well,
So I was going to ask you, why is it important to have a set of core values, and why shouldn't they be non-negotiable?
good question and good insights. Before I answer that directly, let's go back to the why question. Oh, the why for anything. Simon Sinek wrote a book called Start With Why.
yes,
A lot of people start with the how and the what, and they never get to the why, and they lack the energy and strength to continue to pursue whatever it is, because they get to a place and it's like, okay, this is pretty cool and I enjoy it, but why are we doing this again? So here's why is important. Why power is always stronger than willpower.
true.
Some people, I got the willpower. I got the willpower to lose weight, and I got the willpower to go back to school, or whatever it is.
Yes.
And that has a shelf life until things get really hard. I have the willpower to lose 10 pounds. Okay, great. But some people, I've been trying to lose the same 10 pounds for a long time. You know what I mean? But if the doctor says if you don't lose 10 pounds, you're going to be in the hospital next month, the why ratchets up, right? And then now you figure out how we're going to make this happen. There's energy behind it.
Yes.
So I know a lot of people that are watching this are going to be interested in personal growth.
Yes.
And there's a pathway to grow. And a lot of people, I want to grow. First, you got to leave the comfort zone. Why stimulates you to do that, right? Right. The comfort zone is where dreams go to die. Some people say, well, I just want to be comfortable. I'd hate to have you as a leader. Because nothing great happens in just pure comfort.
Never does.
Then when you leave a comfort zone, you go into a fear zone. The fear of the unknown, the fear of having to learn something new, the fear of leaving comfort. Why do people procrastinate at doing their taxes? Because they're afraid to look up all the numbers and gather all the documents and feel bad about not keeping up with it.
Yeah.
And so you have to navigate through a fear zone. If you're comfortable not knowing how to swim and you decide, I want to learn how to swim because I'm going on vacation with my family next year, I'm X amount of age, I'm X years old, I should know how to swim by now. But you're going to have fear.
Yeah.
Right? And you have to navigate those fears, otherwise you'll never learn. Going back to the why. As you're navigating fear, I'm going to get a law degree in my 40s. Great. You take the LSAT, you get approved, you apply to law school, you get accepted to law school. Do I have what it takes? I still got my kids. I've been out of school for so long. You're negotiating a lot of this.
Yes.
You're going to come to a place in the fear zone where you're going to come face to face with a future version of yourself. And that future version is going to say, why are you doing this?
True.
Why are you learning how to swim? Why are you in law school? Why are you, DJ, you and I both run? Why are you running the marathon again? What? When you're on your 20-mile training run? Why? Why? And here's the thing. If the why is not strong enough, you'll close that door and go back to comfort.
Yeah.
And that's how people stay in the do loop of never getting ahead. So if you have a compelling why, now you can navigate through those fears, negotiate them, and now you move into the third zone, which is the learning zone. Now I'm ready to learn. Now I'm ready to apply myself. And then after learning, you can begin to grow. So you can't navigate through fear unless you have a compelling why. Here's another example. If you consider a beam of wood, 2x4,
Yes.
that's 40 feet long on a big construction site. And if I said, DJ, I'd like you to balance yourself, then the wood is on the ground. I want you to walk all the way that 30 feet. And if you can walk all the way across, I'll give you $1,000. Would you try it?
Sure.
Sure. Now let's take that same beam of wood, that same $1,000, and let's elevate that to the 30th floor between two big towers. Like you've seen those cell phone towers. Would you walk across?
Indeed not.
If your daughter was on the other side saying, Daddy, I'm scared, would you walk across?
Of course.
What changed? The why.
Absolutely.
The board is still the same. It's still 100 feet in the air. You're still the same.
Yes.
The reason for doing it changed. So some people are stuck because they've not identified their why and their purpose. So you hit on something important. And that's usually when someone is striving to set goals and navigate. I want to get a real estate license, or, we want to buy our first home. We're trying to put money away. If the why and the purpose isn't strong enough, they find themselves in the do loop of going from comfort to fear and back to comfort to fear and back to comfort to fear. And before you know it, you're 10 years older and nothing's happened. So you hit on a break point.
Coach, I wanted to pull back something you stated when you were talking about the comfort and being a leader. How have you seen the comfort zone affect leaders of corporations as well as the leaders of a household that's stuck in their comfort zone?
Well, this is going to go back to the part 2 of the question you earlier asked me, which was about core values and the why. Right? Am I tracking? You track? Okay.
You tracking, and then I know people may be listening because their comfort zone stood out. It jumps out because a lot of people that's listening maybe in their comfort zone now.
Yeah.
Whether sitting on the couch listening to this, they're in their comfort zone. And that the determination of, do I need to grow? Should I grow? Like you stated about the laudabers. So how does that affect, I was wondering, how does it affect business owners?
You have to stop tolerating comfort. You have to learn to hate it.
Okay.
Light it up. Because whatever you don't hate, you'll tolerate. Keep preaching.
Talk about it.
I remember when I was in the infantry, in the Army, you did a lot of stuff. You just did. In the military police, you do a lot of stuff in the field. It's raining, you're soaked, you're sick, you're not going in for another week. It's missions, it's dark, it's late at night. You're trying to motivate the unmotivated. There's a lot going on. And we used to say this, embrace the suck. Just embrace how hard this is and change the paradigm. And then you can begin to move forward. You have to be able to tell, you know what? I'm going to embrace the suck. I hate being stuck like this.
Yeah.
And then you got to uproot yourself and get around other people who are the same way. We can get into this a little bit. Because if everybody in my sphere of influence enjoy the same things, I will be sucked back into comfort.
Yeah.
I'm going to change now. I'm different. Praise God. Well, let me ask you this. This is a big studio. But if you're in a room with 10 people who got COVID and you're just came back from the gym, fired up, 98.6 temperature, everything's going good, and you lock yourself in there with them, they snotting and coughing and shivering and carrying on. What are the chances that those people will get well because you showed up?
None.
What's the chance you're going to get sick? 100%. So if people said, so you have to change your environment to counter that. Let's talk about core values for a second. Core values, and people can Google this or Chat GPT, but really it's your belief system. It's your non-negotiables. Yeah, that's the term I heard you use. It's the principles that you live your life by. And everybody's got them. They're either stated and known, or they're unstated, unknown, but you can still observe and see what people's core values are.
You're absolutely right.
So to the point that you mentioned, where you have a leader, a ministry leader, a leader in corporate, maybe a manager of a small team or a CEO of a big company, or a leader at home, a dad, a mom. They have to identify and clarify what their values are. And then if those values are counter to growth, then you've got to change. We can change our values.
Yes.
I grew up in New York City in the 70s. There's a lot of things we did as young people growing up that I thought was just fine. This is sit back Converse. How about guzzle and fall out? So, and it's just fine. You know,
Probably got the green light. Pick up your cups.
but no, I thought prostituting, hey, I don't care. It should be legal. Drugs should be legal. All this should be legal. There's a lot of stuff I said should be legal. It should be no problem. But then as I got older and wiser and I got connected spiritually through God's word, and I began to develop and mature and observe life, I said, you know what? I'm changing my values on a lot of stuff.
Yes.
I've got to, if I want different results, I got to do different things. And to do different things, I got to believe different things.
Yes.
And so I would start off with that leader, and I would start off with purpose questions.
Yes.
And a core values assessment. And I've seen people, Larry, who are in their 40s and 50s who've never outlined what their core values are.
Wow.
And we walk through an exercise, and we do a little coaching, some discussion, and they have like a revolutionary experience. It changes the environment in the house. It changes the dynamics and relationships. Because if you don't know what you stand for, you fall for anything.
Yes. True.
A lot of people don't know what they stand for. So any influencer they see, any person they meet, any pastor that preaches, I mean, some of it's good stuff, some of it's not great. They're just tossed to and fro. And you can't lead anybody when you're not rooted.
Yes.
That makes sense?
Absolutely. 100%.
So to your point, that leader who's stuck in comfort would start off and say, hey, listen, what's important to you? And where do you see yourself in 5 years? And why? And what do you believe in? And why do you believe in it? And we'll start there. And if a person just has a core value of laziness, I believe in personal growth, Tony. That's my core value. But you ain't bought a book, ain't been to a seminar, never went to a conference, don't watch no TED Talks, don't read anything, don't download books, you don't have a coach. You can say one thing, but your real value is you just okay being lazy, and that's all right.
Yeah.
For you, maybe in the short term.
Well,
A long answer to a short question.
No, that's what we want, like the meat of the subject.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Core values are your principles, and they create the emotional climate wherever you're at.
yes.
If you look at professional sports and they talk about the feel of a locker room, how can people play the same sport, draft from the same body of universities? Let's talk about football. Yet have totally different locker room experiences. Some locker rooms, the guys can't wait to get out of there. It shows up on the field how they play. Some locker rooms totally passionate, selfless. That emotional climate is created by the lived values of the leaders. And not the stated values. I'll come back to that when we talk about values in the home. But the observed values, because you've got to remember, the people on our teams,
Yes.
for those who are parents, your children, they observe and mimic your patterns. They don't follow your proclamations.
Yeah.
So you're talking about we believe in this and we believe in that. Now they're watching what you do, and that's what they go by.
Coach Tony, you made a very valid point, especially about the when it relates to sports. I grew up playing sports all my life and being part of a Boy Scout. And the core values outside my own family village, I also got great core values from those things. And you're right, when you get to that level, a higher level, why the core value is different from team to team and you got the best of the best, that doesn't make any sense when we're looking from the outside in. And is it possible for the people online, is it possible for some of the core values that these players, once they get to the professional level, that their core values from this particular sport has not always been consistent in a positive way as they have grown up through life?
I want to make sure I understand your point. Are you saying you grow up that these players may have grown up a certain way with really great stuff, then they get here and it changes?
The core values as they grow up in age, the core value playing this particular sports has been inconsistent with the coaches that they have. So by the time they get to the professional level, why is the core value so great on this team at the professional level and it's not great on this another team? Me myself think that the core values when it's played at the pop Warner level, at the middle school level, the high school level, the college level, the core value of the coaches hasn't been consistent through their life as proposed to some of the other players.
Okay, so you're asking why is the core values inconsistent from team to team?
Yes.
Well, Larry, you play ball at a high level. What are your thoughts?
When I played ball, I went through a phase of I had 2 head coaches at one particular school. And the difference with the core values came with the person. So like you was mentioning, Coach, how being a parent at home, how your kids are watching what you do. The team marched to the beat of the head coach. So the head coach had, the old saying in IT, garbage in, garbage out. If the leader doesn't have a strong set of core values, then of course the team is going to take on the personality of the leader. And I think that transfers to corporations as well. So when the difference between the 2 coaches, one of our coaches was super disciplined. So guess how we played on the field? Discipline. And the other coach had, DJ, man, you talked before, what worked in 1985, and it was not working in 97.
Yeah.
So his form of offense was 32, 34 dives, straight up the middle.
Yeah.
Not even a wing T. I formation, we're going to run between the guard and the tackle every play.
Yeah.
And we were wondering why we were going 1 and 8. Then 1 and 10.
Yeah.
But his core values were, this is how I've always done it. No need to change to keep up with the times.
Yeah.
Because that was during the time that the spread offense was beginning to take root.
Yeah.
But he was stuck in his ways and he wasn't receiving additional learning or coaching. He wasn't going to any coaching clinics.
Mm-hmm.
It was his way or the highway, and the highway was 1 and 10 fruit.
And what keeps people from wanting to change?
The comfort.
Because it's comfort zone, and they stay in comfort because they are
Afraid of fairies.
Yeah. They're afraid of change. And then you got to go back to the why. And you got to say, okay, do our core values, our lived values, contribute to us achieving this goal? If the goal is unclear, then we just out here doing stuff. And one of the roles of a leader is to define what success looks like.
Yes.
Right. And then, okay, what are our lived behaviors? I can't say our core value is innovation, and then every time somebody brings something to me, we ain't doing that. We didn't do that last year. No. And so then you got to examine your values. We can maybe talk about that after the break, and then evaluate. Okay, we say one thing, but maybe we do a different thing. What is it that we really do work? And then do we need to change our principles? Do we need to reframe our belief system so that we can get on the positive
track? Yes. Are we faking the fun? 100%.
Let's sip and converse. Let's sip and converse.
Let's talk about it.
Sip and converse.